Hey, this is Kate from dailytarotgirl.com, and this is my unboxing walkthrough video of the Modern Love Tarot, exploring the many facets of love. This tarot deck is by Ethony, and the art is by Lucy Morningstar. So the box is quite lovely. It's actually quite a thick box, and it's got the magnetic flap, which I love. So this is what the card backs look like. The box is actually quite pretty. So this deck comes with a guidebook, and the guidebook is actually quite thick, and it's full color. So it has each card in full color, and lots of good info on each card. So you get some keywords up here. You get the general love meaning, whether you're single and enjoying being single, or if you're ready for dating, if you're in a committed relationship, a struggling relationship. So I love that it gives you those like different meanings depending on where you're at. So I think that in one sense, this deck would be great for relationship readings and love readings and things like that, but it also works really well just for really any other type of reading as well. I thought at first when I got it, it was kind of for love readings, but then once I started reading with it, I'm like, oh no, I can use this for any kind of tarot reading. So this is what the card backs look like, really pretty. And then the edges of the deck are shiny gilded gold. Cardstock is really good. It's good quality cardstock, and the cards are kind of like a nice matte finish. Okay. So this deck is not in order because I've read with it a few times, so I've shuffled it. So cards are out of order, but I'm going to just slowly walk through these cards so you get a feel for them. I love this card. I really like the artwork on these cards. I love how bright and colorful. Oh, I like this card too. That's cool with all the hot air balloons. I like how colorful these cards are. And I find, and this is what I love about owning different tarot decks, is I love how the artist and how the creator will reimagine the cards, and how there's different sort of, how do I say it? I love how they're creative with how they show each card, and each card is a little bit different. I like this one. I feel like I'm having trouble with my lighting today. This is the Queen of Cups. See, like, this is neat. Ace of Swords. I love the archway of books. I think that in a lot of ways really kind of encapsulates what the Ace of Swords is all about, but it gives me kind of a different spin on it. This is a very, very readable deck. I think it would be an easy deck for beginners to learn on. That's one thing I'm always looking for in decks. Like, is this an easy deck to read with? Is it more challenging? This one's definitely one of the easier ones. I love this card. And I think this would be totally appropriate for beginners. I feel like the people on this deck are very expressive and easy to relate to. And you just get what each card is about when you look at the picture. Like, right away, you're like, oh yeah, I get it. I love this one. Queen of Wands as a weightlifter. There's also something really uplifting and positive about this deck and these cards. I do feel happy whenever I read with this deck. And it feels like a generally like fairly like gentle kind of deck. I've done a few readings with it and it reads very well. It's a very like easy to... Oh, I like this one with the snake going around them. That's cool. That's on the cover of the box and I actually didn't even notice... I didn't notice the snake until now. I like it though. Aww. Little dogs. And I like this one, the Nine of Wands, with the kids fighting with each other and the mom just being like, oh. So a lot of these cards and like the scenarios I find are very like relatable. You're like, yeah, I can totally relate to that card. And I think that's important in a tarot deck. That's one thing that often makes me love a deck is like how relatable are the scenes on the cards. And I love the devil here as a dominatrix. I think that's fun. I'm going to do a sort of a sample reading at the end just to show you how this deck reads, although I have used this deck already at least a couple of times in my weekly readings, so you might have already seen me read with this deck. I love this card to illustrate the Five of Swords. The Five of Swords is a card that I struggle with a lot, but seeing how it's depicted here, I feel like I get it. I feel like I wouldn't struggle with the Five of Swords if I was reading with this deck. Oh, and I love this one too. Four of Cups. I feel like everyone here is having a great time except this girl. And I feel like I've been that girl at so many different parties and events where I felt like that. So now what I'd like to do is I'm going to do kind of a mini reading with this deck, and I'm going to interview this deck. So the first question I'm going to ask is, what kind of a deck are you? Okay. And I got the 10 of Wands. All right. So what kind of a deck is the Modern Love Tarot? And we have 10 of Wands. I feel like this is the kind of deck that you want to use when you feel overwhelmed and burdened by life, when you feel like you're just not sure what the next step is, or when you feel like you can't do it all alone. You know, this is a great deck to fall back on and to do a reading that will help you unload some of your burdens and get back on track. I do feel like this deck is kind of a heart-centered deck, and it helps you kind of move from your head into your heart. And I think that that's what's needed when you're in those stressful periods in your life and you're trying to find a solution and sort things out. So the next question I want to ask is, what kinds of questions does this deck like to get from readers? What kinds of, because I feel like every deck has like a specialty. Well, maybe not every deck, but some decks like doing readings about career or love. So what kinds of topics does the Modern Love Tarot like to read on? And we got 2 of Wands. So I can't help but think, even though the 2 of Wands doesn't represent a relationship, this card does depict 2 people smiling at each other, talking. Whether these people are lovers or friends, who knows? But I do feel like this deck, just based on this image, would be good at answering questions about love, relationships, friendships, how we relate to one another, relationship issues, things like that. The Two of Wands also represents kind of that point in our life where we pause to figure out what direction we're going to go in, where we pause to contemplate. So I think that this deck is going to be really handy with those kinds of questions when we're in those moments in our life where we just need to pause and contemplate and figure things out so we know where to go, what to do as we move forward. So then the last question I'm going to ask is, what quality is most important to you in a tarot reader? So what quality does the Modern Love Tarot look for in a tarot reader? Okay, we got interesting. All right, Four of Cups. I think this deck loves a reader who is a little bit different from the crowd. So readers who are, how do I say this, kind of eccentric, readers who are, not like everybody else, those are the kind of people who are going to be drawn to this deck. And I think that likewise, this deck is going to really enjoy being read by those people. So in this card, the woman who looks different from everyone looks a little bit melancholy. And of course, the Four of Cups. The Four of Cups represents someone who feels kind of bored or blah about what's on offer. And in a way, it's like that's the kind of reader that this deck likes. A kind of reader that says, you know what, I'm not that impressed by the status quo. I'm not thrilled with the options available to me in this lifetime, in this world. I want something a little bit different. Everyone else around me may think everything's peachy, but I see that things are kind of crappy. And that's the kind of reader this deck loves. All right. So that has been my mini interview reading with these cards. That was actually really fun. I like doing that. So again, this is the Modern Love Tarot, Exploring the Many Facets of Love by Ethony Dawn. And I will put links below this video for you if you're interested in purchasing this deck or learning more about it. So thank you so much for watching. My name is Kate, and you can find more tarot deck reviews, videos, exercises, all kinds of fun tarot-related stuff on my website, dailytarotgirl.com.